Hello, I'm Vara,
And I'm Roxy.
and you're listening to VCR. Hey, Roxy, how are you?
How are you? I'm
I'm
good.
doing great. Actually, I think I'm doing better than a lot of people. I actually think you're doing better than a lot of people.
I don't
So,
know, but maybe.
let's kind of jump into some stuff. So, today's topic really isn't a pop culture topic. It's more of a cultural topic because things are changing rather dramatically, apparently. But before we jump in to the actual topic, Roxy, in today's economy, God, this sounds so NPR-ish. In today's economy, do you think that the average American is making enough to survive?
Maybe to barely get by. Yeah, survive, maybe.
Maybe to barely get by. No, I
Yeah.
feel you. I feel you. Um, so according to a report from ABC Channel 7 in New York on
Mhm.
April the 1st, 2024, a family of four, this is a family of four, needs to make at least 318K a year to live comfortably in New York City.
Eek.
And that was according to a study. I mean,
But
that
that's
was
New York. New York is crazy.
it is crazy. It is crazy. It is for someone to live comfortably by themselves. By themselves. 96K to live comfortably in New York. So,
Man.
what does this mean? What does this have to do with our show? Freakonomics. That's also an NPR show for those who don't know. Uh, Basically, the cost of living is so bad nowadays. I use New York as kind of a pin, but I'll tell you what it's going to cost in Houston too. It is economically, things are so bad in living conditions, housing, all this other stuff, that more and more people are choosing to still live with their parents right out of college instead of like back in the day. It was like, oh, you got out of college or you got out of high school and you got a job and or a career and you moved out, you bought your
Mhm.
a house and you did your own thing. But now you have 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds still living at home with their parents. And I ask, is this the new social normal nowadays? And apparently it is. I was kind of shocked. So this is a
If
thing.
I didn't butt heads with my mom so much, I would move home.
You would move home if you didn't butt heads with your mom so much.
And if she lived in Houston.
Yes, and you're only what, the tender age of 20, 26? What are you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
24.
so yeah, 24. Yeah.
With it.
So yeah, so let's start off with a lot as an old man segment here. And it was like back in my day,
In my day.
I moved out when I was like 18 or 19, and then
Same.
I bought a house
I did
in,
not.
well, see, but the thing is you live on your own, even if you live in an apartment, you live on your own. You have a huge population of 20-year-olds who are living at home with their parents and not moving out. You have a huge population of 30-year-olds doing the same thing.
Hmm.
When I was 30, I bought a house in 2012. So I bought my first house. It's still my only house, but I bought a house. That's the point. But I kind of lucked out too because what I did, I bought when the market crashed. When the recession happened, that's when I bought my house. So I'm not saying wait for a recession, but
Wait for a recession.
it doesn't hurt. So I mean, but the thing is, with the cost of everything going up,
Yeah. And healing.
it seems to be like, oh, either I don't know, a viable option or the only option. So we're going to kind of get into that today. Like, what is it that's driving people to stay home? And I think we've kind of mentioned the big part of it. But Roxy, you said, if you could. if you didn't butt heads with your mom, you would move back home.
If I didn't
Um,
butt heads with her and she lived in Houston,
mhm. Then
I would
you,
move
yeah,
back
if
home.
it was that perfect scenario. But you
Yeah.
moved out when you were what, 19 is what you said?
18.
18?
Yeah.
So did you get an apartment or were you living with a boyfriend or what was happening when you were
No, I think I couch surfed for a while and then I got a place. Yeah.
hmm But you got a place, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that doesn't seem to be the norm nowadays anymore.
No. I
Um,
mean, have you seen rent prices?
no. What are rent
They
prices
are
nowadays?
ridiculous.
What's
And
ridiculous?
for
Well, you've shopped around for so an average apartment for just you, a single lady. All the single ladies. How much?
upwards of 1100.
A month?
Yeah.
Does that include a reach around?
No.
Damn. Okay. That's that's a lot a month. Yeah. Wow.
That's why I said I'm probably going to be signing another year here because
hmm Yeah,
I'm not
that's
too
real.
far from that, but I'm still not there.
And I'm kind of floored when I hear things like that. And I'm not saying this to be braggy, but like my mortgage, do you want to guess how much I pay a month for my mortgage?
Wait, you're going to piss me off.
You're gonna be furious, but yes. Do you want to guess?
No, tell me.
$936.
Yeah, I'm pissed.
Yeah. So,
I would rather pay that.
oh, I'm sure we would all rather pay that with these ridiculous prices because, like, average homes in Houston, you're looking from 300 to 500 to buy, and 300 on the low end.
Yes, and that's in a like just a in a regular, not even like a good neighborhood.
No, that's a
That's just
bad
like,
neighborhood
and
type of
that's
thing.
not even an HOA run neighborhood. It don't get
No,
into those. You can't afford those.
mm-mm,
Then you got to think
absolutely.
about your yearly maintenance fee and all that. Ugh.
Yeah. Let me, of course, do what I do and share screen with you. And we're going to look at a few articles today written by reputable places. That's
Are
always
they
important to say. Yes, like
reputable places?
reputable, like uh the New York Times and all
New
these
York
other places.
Times.
So dealer's choice, Roxy. So we already talked about this, like the average in New York is this much. Can you believe that? That's
That's
ridiculous.
insane.
I mean, that's just soul crushing. And you know that's not even to get a house over there. That's like to live in an apartment type of
Mm-hmm.
situation. But let's jump to it. Roxy, dealer's choice. Shall we deal a little bit as to why they're staying at home? Should we look at the average cost in other places before we jump into that?
Yes. Let's look
Okay.
at the cost
Average
of
cost.
places.
All
Yeah.
right. New York Times it is. No, I'm kidding. So,
I figured that's what you're gonna do.
according to smartassets.com, in a article that was published in March 19, 2024 by Jacqueline DeJohn and edited by Arturo Cande, CEPF. I gotta look up what CEPF actually means. Uh, they released this interesting, kind of like thing on how the cost of living kind of rolls in Houston, like or in other places, like what your salaries need to be in order to live comfortably in some of these cities in the United States. Roxy, can you believe this? Houston, Tejas, number one on the list. What
Okay.
you need to be make as a single adult to live comfortably in Houston, Texas. You need to make a pay of 36.10 an hour.
Well,
And you need, in order
raise.
to be comfortable as a single adult, you need to be making an average of 75K a year.
I need a raise.
Yeah, you do. Now, if if you're a working adult, got kids, that goes up to 175K a year.
Eesh.
Yeah. El Paso. is about the same. Actually, they're slightly more expensive to live out in El Paso, needing to make an annual income of 180 if you got a family with two little kids, or 75, 254 if you're, single. Lubbock, Texas, the butthole of Texas, as I call it,
The
because there's
booty
nothing to do out
hole.
there. It is like boring as watching paint dry in Lubbock, Texas. So I can't fucking even begin to imagine why the hell their cost of living is like this, because I don't know one while I live in Lubbock, Texas.
I
And
mean,
number three, and they're number three on the list. Number three, I can't even believe Lubbock, Texas made the fucking list. Uh Average, just a little bit higher than El Paso to live there for if you're single, 7,379. If you got a family, 181 a year. Then Toledo, Ohio comes in
Toledo.
at let's just go with looking at family averages. 208. Wow, that's a lot for Toledo, Ohio. Wow.
Yep.
Laredo, Texas, 179 comes in cheaper than Toledo.
Mm.
That kind of blows my mind. Well, that Toledo's even that high. Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee's too fast.
Milwaukee.
237 a year with kids. These are with factoring in two adults, two kids to live
See?
comfortably. New Orleans, just because there are cousins next to us.
Right next
You're,
door.
yeah, you need 1,091 a year. 81K if you're single. Almost up to 82K. It's not far off from 82K. Uh,
Mm.
wow. 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 I feel
Oh,
like
wow.
wow. It's kind of mind-blowing here. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
That is. That's insane. That's too
Albert
much.
Yeah, Albuquerque, New Mexico, family of four, 207. 83K if you're single. That's kind of mind-blowing
Tucson,
here.
Arizona was 215.
Tucson, Arizona. Like anyone wants to live over there.
I
That's like saying I want to live it in Lubbock, Texas, you know?
want to live in Lubbock.
That's kind of redunkadunk. Corpus Christi, a lot of Texas cities on here, kind of mind-blowing. Corpus Christi, the beautiful beaches of Corpus will run you family of four, 192 to live comfortably, 82K to live if you're single comfortably. And they got like a lot of hurricanes hit them.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so that's kind of mind-blowing. But again, here are these averages, here's these costs. These apparently are why 20, 30-year-olds are staying home. Let's jump into it, Roxy. Let's do it. The New York Times
I
wants
mean, I
to,
wouldn't be opposed to a roommate.
I just can't. Like I could turn my office into a bedroom, but I just can't. Now I have the garage apartment. I am planning on fixing that up and bringing in nicer little income,
Right.
try to get above that single average for Houston. 'Cause
Right?
I'm not that, the sad thing is, okay, here's the sad thing. I'm going to share because, we have a wonderful audience and, you know, I'm not far off for the average of living comfortably in Houston, for a single guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about maybe, let's say 5K off, right? But it's, even with that kind of pay that I'm making, it's been difficult to kind of keep up
Yeah.
with everything. Because, like, no joke. So, me and Roxy last week went out to have dinner to celebrate 15 seasons. We're in season 15. Thank you, our wonderful audience. And we went to my favorite place, which is Nico Nico's. And Roxy's, she's eating, I'm eating, we ordered food. It wasn't, she didn't go crazy like always, but it was an average meal that we had, two dinners, two drinks, uh, followed up by dessert, right?
Yeah.
I think so. We spent about $100 and something on that. Now, normally, as of like not even last month,
Excuse me,
that
sorry.
was no shit to get like the two plates that we had, the drinks and the dessert. We would have paid like $60. So
Yeah,
it's gone up like a lot,
very much. A
just to
lot.
go out to
Yeah.
eat and celebrate. And I was like, damn, should have just taken you to
See, it's not
McDonald's.
that I'm expensive, it's just everything's
No,
expensive.
no, now everything is expensive. Roxy,
Everything's been expensive.
which just means that Roxy is more expensive. So I'm just fucking putting it out there if you're thinking of dating her. So this was, even though this is featured in the New York Post, I lied. I said the New York Times. Please forgive me. The New York Post ran this article called Financially Dependent Adult Children and Their Parents Reveal What It's Like Living Together. I imagine that'd be horrible. By Nicholas Lanham, Fox Business, published February 21st, 2024. Basically, this article kind of explains how a lot of these college grads are choosing to live home with their parents in order to try to save up to get like housing or a better life. They have certain goals. And
Mhm.
so they're living at home in order to kind of meet these goals. One guy is living with his aunt, who she's apparently a professional, and she has a teenage son. She's been married for 23 years, and he lives with her, right? In order to accomplish these goals of, whatever these financial goals are. But here's the thing that kind of bothers me, and I get it. It's important, it's crucial, right? You have a goal you want to obtain, but then what do you do when you become a little too comfortable?
Yeah.
Like maybe you don't really want to leave mom and dad's house to go off and invent. Maybe you're 30 and this is the only life you know. Then
Yeah, there's that.
there's that. That should become a problem. Um, According to the Pew Research Center, about a third of young adults between 18 and 34 still live with their parents. And apparently, this is higher than past generations. 64% of those young adults say that this arrangement has had a positive impact on their financial situation.
Well, I'm
Rough,
sure it does.
yeah, because the mommy and daddy are paying the bills and you're just
To
pocketing that
pocket all
money.
your cash. I mean,
Fuck yeah. Roughly 50, hold on, did I read that? Roughly 59% of parents said they gave their adult children help with their finances over the past years. So no wonder you're doing so well. Your parents are still helping you even
yeah.
financially. 64% of those young adults say that this arrangement has had a positive impact. Or I read that. Sorry, my bad. I'm gonna scroll down because there's this thing about a TikToker. One of Roxy's favorite pastimes is TikToking.
Yeah.
The tacky tickers. The TikToker Kristen Nicole is 29 years old, living at home. In a recent post, Nicole said she is working hard to stay in her own lane and watch now her timing unfold rather than comparing herself to where she thinks she's supposed to be in life. Her quote, "The economy sucks and we are in a cost of living crisis. So all judgment needs to exit stage left," she said. I don't know. I mean, I can't really complain. I mean, I think at some point I probably would have complained about this, but with the way things are nowadays, I can't really complain. Um, Going into this, a thing from Credit Karma. As economic conditions remain uncertain in 2024, one Credit Karma survey found that 59% of millennials and 48% of Gen Zers feel behind on their financial goals. No
Hmm.
shit.
Well, you don't say.
You're kidding. You
You
lie.
don't
You
say.
lie like a dog. You lie
For
so bad.
real. Lie like a chicken run.
Yep. Now, here's the
Mhm.
thing. So they were talking to a psychologist, and one of the things about this, like, there are positive impacts financially, right? But there are also
Mhm.
some negative impacts happening here too, in the sense that let's say you're 30 and you don't have privacy because you live with your parents,
Right.
which also makes it harder to do what? Dating
Date.
and having sexual adult
Unless
experiences.
you go to their house.
Chances are they don't have a house either.
That's true. That's
If you're a
true.
30-year-old dating another 30-year-old, neither one of you are like really getting that adult time because your mom and your dad are probably
They're right in
walking
the
in
next
being like,
room.
"Who wants some milk and
Got
cookies?
some cookies.
Remember, leave space for the Holy Spirit." Oh God, your 30s must be fun nowadays.
Man, so much fun.
Um, Now, the other thing is this has become a problem apparently for moms too, where they've become too clingy to their children, their adult children,
Mm.
and are like, oh no, they can't really seem to function without them. And so this is a bit of a problem too. And then you have what he calls like kind of like in and out kids, but these are going to be adults who have drug problems, things like that, rotating door. They leave, they get in trouble, they come back, that type of
Hmm.
situation, and it's constant. So there's some good and bads in here. Now, the only reason I'm rushing this is A, you can go read the damn article yourself, and B, because I'll put a link and
Ye-
then B, here's the other thing. I want to jump into some of the comments that we've received on Facebook about this subject
Yes, let's
because
dive.
it's one thing to have this, but it's another thing to read some of our viewer feedback. So I put it
Hey.
out there from me because it's me. Is living at home in your 20s a good or bad thing? I'm sorry, I can't even read my own writing. Is living at home in your 20s a good thing or bad? Do you think it's the new social norm or is it just an economic choice? What are your thoughts? Let us know, and we might use your thoughts on the VCR show. Shameless plug. Let's get to it. Good friend, supporter of the show, Raquel Lemus.
Hey, Raquel.
Hey, girl.
Hey,
That's how
girlfriend.
That's how you say it, right? Hey, girl, right? I don't know. Anyway, I'm 48. Doesn't matter. I shouldn't be trying to say it anyway. I wish is all in caps, I had stayed home in my 20s.
Hmm.
Exclamation mark. Now I believe if they are working low income jobs, the apartments are unaffordable. Depending on the family structure, the parents are needing the grown kids' help with income, and the kids need the roof over their heads. So it makes sense. Thank you, Raquel.
Hmm.
Yvette says, for those who never had the opportunity to live at home in our 20s, it was only a far-fetched dream. I think today it's more of an economic choice, and it also depends on your culture. So this is true. This is very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Families today are opting to combine living expenses to help themselves during these tough economic times. This is very true. I mean, we inflation has been a massive problem,
Hmm.
truly. And former host of the show has chimed in,
Well,
Mr.
well, well.
Carlo Magana. How you doing there, man?
What's up, Carlo?
Carlo says, it is the result of an economic failures of conservative political politics which have hoisted the responsibility and debt onto the next generation for each generation following. the baby boomers.
Boomers.
I totally agree. One thing, it can be a generational thing. Like, these are issues or maybe economic issues of past generations that are just kind of getting passed down and passed down. It's
Mhm.
entirely possible because truth is we have not dealt with the economy the way we should have, and it is just kind of pouring over onto the next generation because of things like that. Jessica Cordsmears. I hope I'm saying your name right. Hi, Jessica. Ready? Ready. I hope it's a shift, not because I want our kids to stay home longer, but because of exactly that. We don't have a clear path for kids to be successful financially like they were in the past. And why put the extra stress on everyone? In some Asian cultures, the family stays living together because the grandma can take care of the grandbabies while the parents are young. So they can work and make money, which also, in parentheses, which also has other benefits and pitfalls, close parentheses. But given that it seems almost impossible to buy a home, given today's income versus home prices, it's definitely going to create this shift for at least a short time. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to read
Thank you,
another
gracias.
state. Huh?
So thank you, gracias.
Yes. I'm going to read another statement by my friend Rachel, who has been a huge supporter, and also we went to high school together. So I'm going to read hers in just a second, but a lot of this is true. And I like the cultural thing because, like, culturally, there are cultures that they do stay together. She
Hmm.
mentions about the Asian culture. I think this is also very big in the Hispanic culture, where, like, in some cases, like, you have a married couple who got married, and then eventually the parents move in with them, and they also help
Yep.
to take care of the grandkids while, mom and dad work and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of cultural stuff going on here that really isn't that new for certain cultures, like for Asian cultures or Hispanic cultures. This is something that's been going on like forever and a day. So I know when I was growing up, my grandmother, my mom's mom lived with us, but she would bounce back and forth. She would live with us and she'd go live with my aunt out in Lubbock, and then she'd come back and live with us. So, I mean, it was always this kind of a trade type of thing, but my grandmother would cook, she would watch over, the kids and stuff like that. So it was very beneficial, very
Yeah.
beneficial. So,
I
this
had
happens.
I had that in my on my dad's side of the family. Like a lot of the my aunts and uncles like still lived with my grandma for like a long time, even
Right.
after they had their own kids. Like they
Hmm.
just lived there.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that's for certain reasons and economic
Mhm.
reasons.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So, in a prepared statement from Rachel, you ready for this? Ready.
Let's get it.
All right, she writes a good page. She writes a good page, so I'm gonna try to do this as quickly as possible. Titled Good Thing or Bad Thing, Living at Home in Your 20s. In my opinion, it is a subjective election or moral obligation by either the person in their 20s themselves or the folks they are living with. Oh, okay. So I got a short time here. Living with,
Speed it
dependent
up.
on economics or physical capabilities, although it's an innocent question with real life occurrences. I think calling it good or bad could be viewed as slapping a societal judgment, provoking a tier in the economic classes, rich, medium, income, poor, putting more separation between them. In the personal gain perspective, the common purpose to stay home would be to save money to either contribute and or slash pay their own education, save for their first home or apartment. For some, being able to assist loved ones or guardians through the hardships, either out of love or unforeseen obligations. For those young adults with kids, have extra supportive family around outweighs struggling on your own, even if they are working and contributing themselves. In the negative, and I'm going to stop after this paragraph for time. In the negative gain perspective, you have those young adults that elect to stay home through decisions made beyond their control due to their living conditions, which put them in an obligation position to support their parents, guardian, children. Then you have those who have not been prepared for life outside their homes in regards to manners, skills, or education due to self entitled choices on behalf of their parents. This is true. They have no goals or aspirations, and their environment does not support that type of growth. They become ultra dependent on their guardians, which ultimately create a stress cycle. Sadly, for those that want to leave but can't through obligations, they have to put their aspirations on hold for an unknown time frame. The situation ultimately creates an impact on mental and emotional health. Thank you, Rachel. That was really well
Get it,
done and
get
well
it.
said.
Very well
You
written.
definitely dropped that a few bombs there for us to enjoy and to think about, really to think about. So, Roxy, you know, economics are clearly playing more of a factor in this.
Hmm. Yeah.
Being we're both Hispanic, we both grew up Hispanic. Well, we're still Hispanic.
I grew up Hispanic, but I am not
Yeah.
anymore.
Right,
No,
right. You've changed
I
recently, right?
changed. Yeah.
But basically, this wasn't something where we grew up that we thought this was out of the norm. This was pretty much the norm growing up. Like I said, my grandmother lived with us. My great grandparents lived next door to me.
Mhm.
My other set of grandparents, my dad's grandparents lived across the street. So I was surrounded by family.
Yeah.
Um, so this really was not unusual for us. But I think nowadays, especially with a lot of Anglo cultures, this is kind of unusual and not the norm. So, what are your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, yeah, it was the norm for us. Like I had a cousin that lived with my aunt until he was like almost 30.
Hmm.
He lived with her for the longest time. And like I said, I had my aunts and uncles that lived with my grandmother. They'd
Hmm.
leave, but they would come back, and they'd live with her for a while.
Yeah, and
Like
these.
now, I think my grandmother lives with one of my other tias. So
Mhm.
it's very, I guess it is a cultural thing. Like
Yeah,
it's
very
something.
much so. Now, I think nowadays that like this has become a new phenomena because of it's happening to cultures that normally did not have this type of situation. You went to college, you got out, career, house, you followed the pattern, you know, and now the pattern is so screwed up because of how expensive it is, that they're opting to live home. And there are cultures who did not practice this, and now it's kind of hitting them and they're like, the fuck, what's going on? Now it's a problem,
Right.
economically. Oh my God, economics. Well, I'm not gonna play race cards here or there, but that's pretty much what it sounds like. But the
Hmm.
truth is, I cannot lie and say that it isn't purely economics. It really is a situation where things are too damn expensive, to afford to live. Like even I was shocked. Like I was like, here I am. Recently got a good job, good pay, and now this survey comes out. I was like, damn, I'm still poor.
Right.
You
For
know,
real. I'm like,
it's like,
dang.
what the hell? I'm surprised I can live like this. But then again, I'm very fortunate too because I bought when I bought, and it's not that much of a strain. But the truth is, This is a huge strain for a lot of people. A lot of people are having to move back home. But it's kind of weird because I was listening to NPR this morning and, they're like, this is the most robust economy we've ever had in the sense like job market wise, like
Oh,
everywhere,
I was like,
job
where?
market wise, it's a very robust, very good economy, but inflation, and they say this because so many people have jobs, they're out there buying, things go up, interest goes up, inflation goes up. They move the inflation up to bring down the housing to kind of make it plateau. But even if it stops here, that's still pretty damn expensive just to buy a house, on an
Mhm.
average house, 500K. I mean, I couldn't afford that now. If I was buying a house now in this market, I couldn't do that. No
Mm-mm.
way in hell I could do that.
Absolutely no
I'd have
way.
to get married just to try to do that. Just to try to have a second income, I'd have to get married. Your thoughts, Roxy? Are you going to have to get married in order to get a house?
I'm just gonna stay right here.
You're going to stay right there. Move back in with your parents at some point, right? No? Okay.
No, if they lived in Houston,
If
maybe,
they
but
lived in Houston, but not where you're originally from.
no,
Mm-mm-mm.
absolutely not.
Oh. So our listeners, even though this is a different show for us, because again, cultural, not so much, our pop culture, but cultural. Let's say you have some thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, like, hey, you want to voice that, an opposite opinion or a pro opinion, whatever. You can email us at thevcrshow@gmail.com. You can hit us up on our socials at Insta or Twitter at the VCR Show. You can also check out our website and our YouTube, which will also be at the VCR Show, and all of our other fun social medias that are
Is it
just
also at
at
the
the
VCR
VCR
show?
Show. Yeah, at the VCR Show. And you can check out Roxy's content and offer to like maybe partner up with her as her husband in order to get her that house that she wants so
Yeah.
badly. At her social medias, which would be
On Facebook at Roxy Perez Curvy Model, on Instagram at PopRox428,
Mhm.
and on TikTok, while we still have it, at the PopRox. And PopRox is spelled POPROXX.
And now you know what I live with throughout the show as she just stares at her phone and doesn't pay attention to me.
What? Did you say something?
Yeah, exactly. This is how our dinners go too. Like, what are we doing? What? Huh? Click, 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 click. Selfie.
Huh?
Huh? Exactly. So until next time, I'm Vada,
And I'm Roxy.
and you've been listening to VCR.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You have been listening to VCR, creative content by Richard Christopher Vada and Roxy Perez. Logo by Richard Christopher Vada with assistance from Annie Ramirez. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach us at thevcrshow@gmail.com or our social medias at Instagram and Twitter at the VCR Show. And you can also check out our content at thevcrshow.com. The show song is Addict by Nefex, instrumental, and you can find them on YouTube Music Library.